Welcome along to another week of Top Split Weekly Racing with Aeon Esports on iRacing, as today we take a look at a series that is considered absolutely classic to the iRacing experience. I remember first playing around the 2020 COVID era, when the Skip Barber race series was one of the places you would go to learn your craft on the D-Class, well before we got more advanced cars on the road. It's great to see this car still has a fantastic community on a very nostalgic track this week, as we head to Summit Point Raceway, one of the original learning tracks in iRacing and still one of my favourites. It's fast and it's technical, it's got sweepers and it's got tight sections. It's a great racing experience for these cars, and we've got some very, very high-skilled drivers on the track today to show us how it's done. My name's Howie Burroughs, and I'll be bringing you just some of the fantastic racing we'll see today as we approach qualifying very, very soon in this Skip Barber Race Series event. Oh, I miss this place. I say I like to come back every time it comes around. I do like this car. It has since been overshadowed by the likes of the AFS 1600 in terms of its popularity, but I think there's nothing quite like it in terms of its challenge and in terms of its driving style. Very slippy, very primitive, but certainly teaches you so much behind the wheel. So much that I haven't even learned. We have a very, very healthy field of drivers today. Go up to about 3.8k SOF. Including one or two drivers I've shared a few splits with, and they've just completely ran away with it. Here's Terry McGrauther, our highest skill driver. Now, this being a lone qualifying as ever, it's quite hard to stay on top and quite hard to give you all of the information you may need. So we're going to be taking this bit by bit and just sort of taking on board with a few laps, and then we'll start seeing results come through fairly soon. But drivers are getting their first laps on the board, and we should be able to get a quick look at them any second now. Not yet. Not yet. Oh, overlays love to treat me well. Overlays absolutely love to treat me well. I'm just going to take a sit on board here with Terry on the gyro so we can take a look at this car in its absolute best. You have to drive this one on the slip angle 24/7 to get any pace out of it, as he just swings it through into that final corner. We're going to get a full on-board lap. I wish I had good corner names for you here. We don't, but times are starting to now hit the board. Fastest with JT Kopinen. I always struggle with names here, and I've been told this is the Iberian split. So, you know, most of these don't intimidate me that badly, thankfully. But my apologies if I butcher you along the way. It's just a part of the experience. This first part of the track, super fast and super tight. You have to try and hit that curb on the left in order to not wash over onto the gravel onto the right. Get some big drafting opportunities in this car. They are incredibly slipstreamy. The wings basically only provide drag before we enter the tight, technical back section of the track, running it very, very slow. Try to stay on the newly pathed concrete. And as you leave this, I believe this is called the carousel. I will check before speaking that one authoritatively. You sling it back out onto the final absolute blitzer of a left-hander. Ton of runoff on the right-hand side allows you to quickly transition the car, sort of throw it in. You can hear the tyres screaming and complaining. They're going to be doing some of that all day around here. That's how you get the absolute best out of them. I wonder if this car is like the V, in the sense that I know on the V, which is another fantastic car, I believe the V was sort of marked the beginning of the end of this being one of the most popular cars in iRacing, and it is a shame. In that car, you're faster on the cold tyre. It slips around a lot more. I do believe, from my experience and from what I've been told, people do hate the cold tyres on these cars. We're kind of living in an opposite reality over here. where you do want a little bit more grip out of them. They are very, very hard to force if you're not really being precise with them. So I don't quite think they got the cold tire as fast tire effect, but in exchange, you get a little bit of a dicey first lap. The wings on this car, don't let them mislead you, of course. They literally don't do much. I've heard people say it only exists to make the car go slower. The aero is minimal. You're relying on mechanical grip more so than anything else. And drivers are just about to finish off their lap. Now, here's a Martin van I'm going to try this. I'm going to be good at this. When the race is going, I have no excuses. Martin van Ekkelsen. I'm going to go with Ekkelsen. With our fastest lap so far by a decent margin. Don't have much time to go through the qualifying times on an official iRacing session. You really don't get much to work with. So let's do a very quick tour of our starting grid. While we're here, I think Martin van Ekkelsen lining up for P1 alongside Hannah Fenscher on P2. JT Koppin. I'm going to go with Koppinen. Koppinen sounds good in P3, with Jesus Cabal in 4, Terry McGraufer in 5, and Klaus A. Biedermann. That sounds a bit too German for me, so I feel like that's a sign I've gotten it wrong. Well, he's running in P6. In 7th, we have Chris Roberts with Victor Gonzalez, Roberto Binzorakala, Peter. I've been set up today. Peter Salpanki and Miha Filej. Trust me, my last run with the Clios, I was much worse with the names. You should all be thankful. Race getting ready to begin any time now. So we'll just wait for drivers to get gridding and wait for them to get going. This is going to be a very quick sprint event. We're doing it to laps rather than time. I like it in iRacing when they do it to laps rather than time indeed. Too many races going to time nowadays. I'm a big fan of the SFL series, but like we can do this. We can do this to a lap count. You know, it's classic. It's the Formula Racing style. Victor Gonzalez here could jump his way up the grid because that's the number 3 car. Hasn't really had an impressive run. The start-finish line so far down the road. It doesn't like it's going to be the case. Miha Filej, the last driver who may be able to, last car on the road, but I don't think a competitive time is being set in the grass like that. Could just be running around for the fun and for the practice of it. I love doing that. And you rack up some safety rating along the ways. By the way, if you're looking to farm your SR in iRacing, that's a tiny little tip for you. Just keep running past your qualifying hours. No one said that your qualifying times or your bedtimes. Loving the car sliding here. Going to be seeing more of that when these cars get together closely on the grid. Just a few seconds to go now, and we are about to cross over into race gridding. These races feel like they last a very, very long time when... They feel like they last a very, very long time when I'm running them. Probably because I'm not the best in them, but it's going to fly by in an absolute... like an absolute bullet once we hit the grid. So lining up on the front row on the left-hand side there will be Martin van Vellekin alongside Hannah Fenscher in the P2, JT Koppinen in the P3, and Jesus Cabal in the 4. Standing starts. There's plenty of opportunities for chaos. Drivers have just a few more seconds to get their car gridded. I'm running it solo today. I often do like to have some co-commentators in the booth, but you know what? I asked unreasonable things of them. So I experience the consequences of my action. And that is being sent in the booth to go slightly kooky over a solo race. Thankfully, we're not going to be here for hours. It's an 18-lap run around Summit Point Raceway. It will be over. There you go. Sooner than you possibly realise. Only one more driver left the grid before we're ready to run. Looking for Roberto Calla. Maybe he just won't. There he is. Drivers are together. It's Martin on the left and it's Hannah on the right. As the lights go out any second now. And we're green, green, green. Good launch from Martin. Hannah looking to cut off immediately and get in the way of Koppinen, trying to get an advantage on that line. It looks clean off the starting line, but as we dive into turn one, anything can happen. Hannah looks like she has the better break, and is going to try and send it out around the outside of turn one. Has momentum. They're side by side, and she's going to get the better exit. A clean turn one pass out of Hannah Fencher here. Every driver making it out of turn one. You love to see it. Martin van Elkelson under pressure now from JT Coppenden behind as well. Terry McGrauther looking to make up positions too. They're going to pile now into the heavy braking zone as we enter the back half of this track. This is where things start to go pear-shaped a lot of times, or people really start to make up their gaps. Hannah looks like she's left the inside open, but she closes it back up again. Martin van Elkelson not getting the inside line. JT Coppenden just a little bit down the road. Everyone just about filtering through single file on this case. But plenty of laps to go, and this is where the track starts getting seriously drafty. And there is an incident behind. See a car spinning down there in the back. That's Miha Filej spinning around in the back. And that's Hannah going wide. She just about recovers, pushes Martin van Elkelson incredibly wide. Two big mistakes here. Coppenden is now going to send it 3 wide. McGrauther also wants to try and get a spot in behind, but it looks like JT Coppenden has been the ultimate beneficiary of that mistake. Big heavy braking zone to turn one. Hannah Fleischer keeps that inside line. She could keep it, but I think JT Coppenden's got the advantage. They're going 3 wide, and I can't quite tell who's going to come out ahead right now. JT Coppenden on the right-hand side from our view. Looks like he's going faster, but just behind, they're so close as they run into this tight little gravel trap. Hannah Fleischer's run wide. She's able to get it back together again. A few little touchy-feely going wide incidents, and this has given Terry McGrauther the space to dive up in. Heavy braking, lockups from everyone. Hannah keeps the advantage. She's able to repass, heading into this twisty back section. I thought she was going to lose it all from that start. I really did, but she has been able to make up these positions again, and it's really Martin van Elkelson that's going to be looking in from behind, wondering quite what happened. Super drafty start finish straight now. It's going to give any driver behind a fantastic chance to make it ahead. These races are absolutely won or lost at some point on this huge back straight in cars just as primitive as this. We're on board with Martin van Elkelson. Little bit of a gap behind. Looks like it's not going to make it up. I think they will be side by side into this first turn. Fastest lap set by Caesar, best behind, but it's JT Coppenden with a great outbreak into turn one. He's now going to seize the lead. This battle for the top 4 is not going to calm down anytime soon. Hannah Fechner, who I think I've been calling Feichner a few times, getting the better of him, going out into this down 2-3 combo. Everyone slipping, everyone running right onto that gravel. To get the most speed, you have to maximize so much out of there, and that gravel trap is so tasty. It's an absolute off-track collector around here. Hannah Fechner has been able to seize this P1 for now, but this battle, I don't think anyone is going to break away from this field anytime soon. I think we're going to see constant back and forth swinging all the way to the end of this race. Few battles happening behind as well as Cesar Best set the fastest lap of the race on the first go around. Jesus Cabal behind, and Victor Gonzalez ahead. They're going to look to try and play their own little draft trains on this start-finish straight as these cars pile down this track. There's just so many ways for people to shake and move, and we're going to send it 3 wide again. And this time, it's Terry McGrauther who has the perfect inside line. He's going to spook JT Coppenden, and he's going to take that inside, and he's going to claim that P2. Martin van Elkelson is not done yet, though. Not at all. Didn't quite seize the opportunity into these quick sweepers. These positions are going to trade places every single lap. We have 14 to go and still so much time to make up. Van Elkelson tries to get the outbreak done, doesn't get done. Passing's tricky around here, but the exit's going to set up everything into the next few corners. It is so exit heavy. And the draft train continues. I notice Cesar Best has joined onto the back of this draft train, is on board with us. Cesar Best going to try and look at Sick in the nose on the inside. Doesn't quite do it now. Good exit speed, though. It's drafter on drafter upon drafter upon drafter on this backstretch. And they are going to go side by side up ahead. Hannah is ahead for now, alongside Terry McGrath behind. She keeps the position. Cesar Best looks like he's going to absolutely try and take this P4 off Martin Van Eccleston. He's going to need to have more momentum on his inside, though. Van Eccleston's been doing nothing but dropping back, still more dipping in the gravel. So many trips into that gravel today. And our apologies for the lack of race audio up to now. You wouldn't be amazed at the sort of switches we forget to flip around here when necessary. But now you get to hear these engines go. Hannah Fleischer still running the best so far. Our fastest lap still being set by Cesar Best. He's the only driver that's gotten it into the 119s. These laps are so fast. We're on 5 now, and we're pretty close to 6. Terry McGrath has made a real climb up the grid in order to make it here, and that's Hannah running wide again. You'd really think she loses it all, but she's been good at saving the car, but she's definitely going to have no momentum, and that gets us a new race leader on this start-finish straight. Terry McGrath is easily going to clear, but looks like it's a pack of bees swarming in. Might try to claim up this position. Hannah could hold it strong, but JT Koppinen, I think, does have better exit speed right now. They're so close, and she's not done with sticking her nose up the inside again herself. I see a little bit of oversteer from Terry McGrath. He's gone incredibly wide. That's wider than they usually do. That may be a slowdown penalty. We'll just have to see how he rejoins and how he drives. He is pretty much going at full pace. I don't see a black flag, but Hannah Fechner is able to take that place, and they're going too wide for 2 rows behind. JT Koppinen now holding off fields of drivers. Cesar Best has been able to take that P4. Van Eccleston just slowing down now. He really wants to get back into this, and it's not going to be easy at current pace whatsoever. Terry McGrath now all over the rear bumper of Hannah Fechner. No one else has been able to consistently get it to her, despite the mistakes, and there have been mistakes made up there, but holding on to that lead is commendable in itself. They're side by side. Terry McGrath keeps the P1, but it's not going to be made easy. It's been sent free wide by JT Koppinen. We're going to have to go into the chopper cam for this one as we study as Cesar Best in the McLaren car there isn't done at all. Side by side again. Hannah Fechner and Terry McGrath, they're able to stop this from becoming free wide after that start-finish straight. We have Spat who has the inside line here, and really Hannah keeps it here. There's a little bit of contact, very, very minor, sort of pushing Terry McGrath wide, and Cesar Best, through he goes. He stuck his way through. Cesar Best is now looking for that podium and possibly more as he duels out with JT Koppinen. I see brake smoke around. Almost signals a tragedy. We don't quite have one yet. We're almost approaching the halfway mark, and the racing at the start, at the front even, has not ended one bit. Oh, I've got to bounce off myself here. I don't have anybody to talk to. As I've been told in the chat, this is tight in the traffic in New York City. You might just be right. This is what Top Split racing in the Skip Barber Formula 2000. That's the number it's all about. I tell you what, I do, as Terry McGrath, it looks like he tries to swing in for this P2 himself. I do have some nostalgia for when this was the leading D-Class series, but also, you know, There were some idiots in F4, as we see some brake smoke up from Hannah Feshner. She is able to hold on to her line, but lose that position, and sees her best come through. I'm nostalgic when this was the go-to D-Class series, but you see those idiots in F4? There were idiots here as well, and now we just get the quality racing, and that's Hannah Feshner, and she sent the top 3 for a spin. They're off in the gravel, there's contact, and they're well and truly out of the running. An absolute shocker. Hannah Feshner, she's not even going to be able to hold on to this P1 as a result. There's going to be controversy in the chat afterwards. I will try and get an eye in on that one. And it introduces some new figures onto the road. As here's a car we've not seen before. It's Jesus Cabal now in P4. Well within range in that Benetton-looking car. Oh, it's a tragedy that incident ended quite like that, but it was very, very close racing in these Formula cars. I need to see a replay to tell you a little bit more about that, but maybe later down the line when you argue about it, that it provides a very, very good angle for you guys to work that one out. I'll try and see what I can work out as soon as this one dies down at all. As Hannah Feshner now looking to get the draft down this start-finish straight on that inside line. JT Koppinen has very, very little to argue for that. And there's still more little contact. He's lost out big time. Martin van Elixon was looking to try and make back positions after a bit of a disastrous first half of the race. And as we now hit the halfway mark, he's sort of got his wish come true, and he could take this win back off Hannah Feshner, who has mostly kept it all the way since the start. 10 to go. I call it about halfway. We're halfway through the lap that marks halfway. Does the maths? Does it compute? Work that one out later. We'll catch replays of all the significant moments at the end of the race, of course, in order to get a better perspective on some of that. But I think this racing is going to go too close for us to spend the time at all right now analysing it. Every single lap is an absolute roller coaster. On board here with JT Koppinen, hoping to get a good draft on the other two. Is what this track has all gone down to. All these cars, they do nothing but slip and slide around here, but he has a front row ticket to Van Eckelson. They're gapping out Hannah Feshner. She's got a super slow exit, actually. I don't know if that's a slowdown penalty or if she's... I didn't see her cut the corner, but that car is not going anywhere fast. Could have been fuel. These are open setup cars, but she's just completely dropped down the field. She's down and out. It's now between Koppinen and Van Eckelson, the two starters who've been able to keep this together with some new characters, of course. Jesus Cabal. We've not talked about Victor Gonzalez. I think that is a stake kick Sauber car I see there. I think it is. I know fans of it. It's not licensed, but, you know, we all know what you're doing. We all know what you're doing, and I know fans of that car. I think that is an old Arrows design on Martin Van Eckelson. I could be wrong, but it reminds me of the Damon Hill Arrows. But it looks a bit off as well in terms of the colour, so which is why I think I'm channeling a slightly different car. I have to go and check. What's the sponsor? I think I've spelt that roughly. No, it definitely isn't the Brabham. Parmalat. It is a Brabham. It's the Brabham BT52 from Nelson Piquet. I got that feeling. It wasn't quite the Arrows, but there was something... Brabham was a little bit before my time, I'll be honest. I was really in around the late 90s, early 2000s is what I was nostalgic for, as these two drivers tussle and chase each other again. Who has the advantage? You never really get to find out until a few corners from now, because it's all about that exit speed from lap 1. It looks like it's going to be a Martin Van Eckelson. Let's take a little look at some battles further behind as well, because they are very real. Here are some cars we recognise. This is Roberto Binzola Color leading this pack. And has Jesus Cabal fallen back? Nah, it's just tussling. Terry McGrauther and Hannah Feshner are pushing their way back up the field. They've got to get past Roberto Color in order to do so in that beautiful Hornets Jordan. Now that's a throwback. All right, that is a beautiful throwback livery. I'm giving that one my perfect thumbs up. And Terry McGrath and Hannah Feshner have been fast. And they do have the number 12 driver up ahead. So everyone in this lobby is quite high skill. But relatively speaking, Colour is one that would have a lot to gain iRating-wise if he had a good result here. And he's sort of botched the exit there, leaving the track. Terry McGrath, at least, is going to get the advantage. Can Hannah Feshner fit in behind? Or is she going to try and make it free wide? She's going to back out. Peter Sopanki looked like he was going to stick his nose in too. And that's another big crash. Hannah Feshner, this time collected there by the John Player special of Peter Sofalski. I'm actually amazed that Terry McGrath got away with that. But he did. His car got tagged and he's still going. Some would call it karma. Some would call it justice. Some would call it bad luck. I'll let you be the judge of that one at home. As Victor Gonzalez has done some good climbing up the field while we haven't been looking. It's Jesus Cabal who hasn't really been able to make the most of these positions. Roberto Cala has well and truly ceded to Caesar Best. I'm sure it must be Caesar Best, who still has the fastest lap of the race. No one's been able to beat that 1:19.8. Everybody's been in the 1:20s. Obviously, you do need a little bit of good conditions in order to really get the best out of this right now. Oh, I see drivers dip on that grab one. The thing is, I know they can do it. I know that iRacing is kind of like half track over in many situations on tracks like this. It's not quite super strict. Very, very early track in the iRacing life, of course. But Terry, I see smoke up ahead. Has something happened? Nah, it's heavy braking at its absolute best. No, that is Victor Gonzalez. He has totally lost out. Can we get a quick check of that? What happened to Victor Gonzalez around there? Oh, he slipped and he lost it. That wheel almost looks damaged just due to the way they bend. He overcooked it into that turn, and he should be considered himself lucky he didn't collect anyone else along the way. He is absolutely feisty, absolutely competitive, absolutely looking to chase us out and get a better position. Drivers, just one mistake is costing people so much. We are very close to 5 to go. JT Koppinen and Martin Van Eccleston still hustling back and forth. I think they're being strategical about this. I think they're realizing you don't want to strike before the end. You don't want, because really it's about whoever gets that good last draft. I've seen races here in drafty cars decided by hundreds of seconds over the line. You have to strike not just before the last straight, but just in time. That start-finish line very far down the track. Eccleston's going to trade for that P1 for now. They're going to keep trading this every lap. Maybe they're just content with trading it the way they are. I think a good tactical driver around here knows that every lap is a position change. Really, it's Jesus Cabal who is going to have to try and make the best of this situation and look for a way to sneak his way in. So he's our best, looking to try and catch up to this pack, alongside Terry McGrath and Victor Gonzalez, both sent back due to their own reasons. Both two of the fastest drivers here. Could be anyone's game with 5 to go. More time than you think at Summit Point. It feels like an eternity when you're in that car, and maybe it just feels like it to me because I struggle in it. I'm not a god in this car, you know. I'm simply just better in the V, which is an easy thing to say because the V is a grippy car that does anything you ask to it. I'm not even that good in the 1600, really. I know life the Formula Ford Festival, but that's just because it was Brands Hatch. You know, I couldn't really do that in any other place. So, here's what it is. Big gap in this top 3. Don't think anyone's catching that without some blindingly fast laps. The gap is 3 seconds, and no one's been able to make a lap a second faster. Still trading this P1, P2. I think the two are giving themselves plenty of space to trade every single lap. Let's not forget the back of this grid for a good reason. Just look at some more of these battles, trying to highlight as many drivers as I can, as Chris Roberts makes it past Miha Filej for that back of the road position. This was very close to being a 20-plus car driver grid. We saw Miha Filej fall back earlier, and he hasn't really been able to make up that time with a 6-second gap. Elsewhere, most of these drivers have strung out a bit. They'll be getting some draft, but they're going to need to get good corners now in order to really make the best out of it. The battle remains with this top three. Here's Martin van Eccleston. As we see someone doing the one of many position trades on the start-finish straight. I think we'll spot here. Both car drivers just slinging it in. You're not going fast in this car if you don't hear the tyres begging you for mercy. These are really horrible little road tyres. But the lack of grip, I think, is the point. We'll be looking at this last lap to see who claims the position across the line. Jesus Cabal actually took a dive for it there as well. While we were on board, Jesus Cabal finally stuck his nose in. He's been looking for the whole race to do it, and he finally got his chance to establish himself as one of this big three. Further back, looking at Klaus A. Biedermann on the back of Roberto Calla, who the number 12 car in a 12-car lobby. Every position you get is good for you here. I don't want to see the incident count at the end of this, though. Don't want to see it. Don't want to know it. It won't be good. Here's Jesus Cabal, who is semi-surprising, semi-unsurprising. He is the new protagonist in this, I'll just call him. He's been eyeing up this top three battle, and now he wants to make his moves. Now he's looking to try and make his dives in. This position trade is going to be different than before. Jesus Cabal is now in the chase, and he's going to make this trade, and he's going to try and get the P1 with just 2 to go. We see Koppinen behind. He's going big and he's going fast. He's taken 2 cars on his draft train. Anybody could be the beneficiary out of terminal as Terry McGrath sets the fastest lap. Koppinen just sneaks around the outside. That's almost there. That's Eccleston getting run off the road a little bit. Thankfully, not enough to give up anybody else's run. These three are going to be dueling all the way home. Here's Terry McGrath on the back of Cesar Best. At least a P4 would be nice. But he's going to wait a lap for it. Side by side into this carousel section. Jesus Cabal keeping up the P2. The longer these tussle, the more Koppinen might be able to get away with this. If he can get away with a white flag lap without a draft, he would have played the strategy game here excellently to take the win. Races at Summit Point in the drafty cars, man, they are strategy races. You play the long game here as we approach the finish line for the white flag being waved by Barney the flagman there. And Koppinen looks like he is being gained upon by Jesus Cabal. It's not over at all. I thought there might have been the advantage necessary. Not quite. Don't want to look through his visor. Bit dirty there, mate. It's a massive dive bomb there on the outside by Van Eccleston. He's brought in a huge amount of speed, but now he's going to run it a bit wide, and that exit speed is not going to help him. A bold move, the last attempt to turn one. He is going to keep that P1. Only a few more chances to make this draft and make this move now. Can you believe Van Eccleston from the beginning of this race sent back through lots of passes, but he's bided his time, stayed out of trouble, and could now be on track for a win. JT Koppinen's made the greatest moves this race. He's been the biggest shaker and mover. He set himself up with the white flag lap across the line. It could be either, and Jesus Cabal, I've seen him make some outrageous moves. They're not going to get this turn one to do it in. Van Eccleston looks right, looks left. He's going to take the outside. Koppinen gets to choose the line he likes. I think there's better exit speed on Van Eccleston. I don't know who's going to be faster across the line. That's Cabal trying it as well. And that is Van Eccleston across the line. And he takes the win with a .013 gap. Van Eccleston, it's your winner. Oh, I knew it would go close. I knew it would go close. Unbelievable. Can I get an onboard replay of this without the crud? Gotta hit that one. Gotta hit that one. It was Van Eckelson who got this done. I think he knew it was his. That's the start-finish line. Marked on the ground. If that start-finish line was a bit further down, Jesus Cabal takes that win. All three have played this masterfully. What a finish. The sort that you would love to see around here. Let's take a look at some replays of some of what we saw on the track. Here's a possible incident from Klaus. Nope, it loves to think that crashes happened from the start of the race, because people are going slowly. First actual incident was in the back with Michal Filej. We saw the car sort of get a little bit loose. And I think he might have just gotten loose under his own power here. Going wide on the grass. Not a great way to start your day. Was able to catch up and make some battles from there. Then it was Klaus A. Biedermann. Into turn one. This was our first sort of flashpoint to turn one. First of many. It's a nasty little close racing incident. See if I can catch the chopper cam of this one. It was alongside Chris Roberts, who was hit as well. Oh, he turns in very sharply. Everybody's just sort of missed their braking zone a little bit, and that has sent drivers out for a spin. So many passes. I can't really go through them all. Here's Terry McGrauther. 3 wide, and it almost looks like netcode there with Hannah Feshner. I can go back and we can try and analyze this one slow-mo. I unfortunately think this one was in the hands of the racing gods a little bit. It really was. There was space for both. Cesar Best gets collected as well. But on my screen, there's no contact. But it's not the last time Hannah Feshner is in an incident, as here's Hannah Feshner again onto Peter Supalnki. Oh, she's run into from the rear this time. One more look at this. I think it's the driver behind a position or two. Not that. That's not how you do that. I can't do this. Yeah, there's a wheel on the grass that's triggered that one. Not slowed the car down enough. Hannah Feshner's been on the bad side of luck, it turns out, twice. Going to be a frustrating end result. Hate to see it. Victor Gonzalez is the next one with a major incident. As he just gets himself loose. It's nice that he doesn't collect anyone along the way. And finally, we can catch that stunning finish. Down the start-finish straight. I don't have a fantastic camera angle for this one, unfortunately. I don't have a magic crystal ball. But I have what the TV cam saw coming out of this finish. 3 wide. You know how much Jesus would have wanted that to go just a tiny bit further. But that is Van Eckelson across the line in P1. Stunning racing. Stunning racing. I love to see it. So let's just come in with some of our race results to finish up today's race. That's an absolutely gripping one, I gotta say. I've been doing enough talking for all this time, but it'd be nice to have a break. Martin Van Eckelson wins by 0.013 over JT Kopinen. Jesus Cabal looking to try and make that a win himself, but he's locked into P3. So he's our best in P4 with Terry McGrauther in 5. Victor Gonzalez in front of Hannah Feshner, involved in quite a few incidents today. Klaus A. Biedermann in P8 with Roberto Kalla in 9. Peter Supanki. I'm going to go with Sopanki. It's the best I can do in P10. Followed by Chris Roberts and Miha Filej in 12th. And if you like that, and you like watching some of that, and you like watching some of me, there's plenty more to see on this channel. Stay subscribed because kicking off at the end of this week, would you believe it, this Friday, we are still accepting invites to the mini stock road racing series. These cars are just as fun as the Skip Barbers. Think of them as Tin Top Skip Barbers. Okay, think of them as Tin Top Skip Barbers, and go to www.aeonesports.com. I'll make sure to stick it in the video description, and you can sign up for free and be a part of this fantastic event. It's going to be so much fun. Until then, I've been Howie Burroughs here with Aeon Esports, and I'd like to thank you for watching today's race. Subscribe for more, and enjoy the rest of your week out there on iRacing, man. It's been a good one.